All right, so HIMS shareholders, I have some answers, okay? I finally have some answers. I have a reply from the investor relations team, and it came literally a day after I tweeted this. All right, so I tweeted this on the 20th of July, okay? I tagged Andrew Dudum, the CEO of HIMS, and it was a screenshot pretty much of my email that I sent to the investor relations team on the 8th of July. I said, I think it's horrifying that I have reached out to the investor relations team. It's been 2 or 3 weeks and I still have yet to receive an email. And I've not even received an acknowledgement of receipt of that email. It's terrible. It's not great for confidence boosting, especially if you're a company that's recently gone public, doesn't fill investors with any confidence. So I guess they finally got the message, and Andrew got one of the guys of the investor relations team. So his name's Mike Bishop. He reached out to me, okay, on the 21st. So literally the day after I had tweeted that. He said, "Hi, Emmanuel, I was recently brought on to help HIMS with investor relations. I was wondering if you'd like to have a quick chat. If so, what day works for you?" So myself and Mike had a few correspondence and we eventually had a meeting. All right, so for evidence and for proof, this is Mike Bishop. This is myself. We had a Zoom call. I did ask Mike whether it was okay to record the Zoom call, but he told me not on this occasion. He would be happy to speak with me on the recorded version after Q2. But for this interview, he appreciated that I didn't record the Zoom session. So here's a screenshot as proof of the conversation. And I did ask him a few questions, which I have noted, and I will be giving you guys the answers to now. So one of the first questions I asked Mike was about his relationship with the company. I don't think I'd heard of him before. And he said that he was brought in recently by Andrew to help out with the investor relations team, because apparently there's been a ton of emails, and I'm sure there probably has been, because if you look at the stock price, I mean, it's been currently getting battered. So it was at highs of $25.40 and it's now trading at $7. So yeah, I'm sure they're getting flooded with emails on a daily basis. So Mike has been pretty much been brought in to help with the HR team, pretty much head up. So he'll be in charge essentially of the investor relations team. And as a result, if you have emailed the investor relations team in the past, they should have gotten back to you, or at least if you do contact the investor relations teams now, you should at least receive a response within sufficient time. Okay, so he clarified that. So once we got that out of the way, my next question was straight away, like, why have you not filed any 8Ks for the recent acquisitions that we have made? And I told him about the acquisition of Apostrophe and also our partnership with Urban Outfitters. I also spoke about the acquisition of London-based Honest Health. All of these are acquisitions which you've announced, you've done press releases for, but we have no 8Ks being filed to pretty much almost solidify that for shareholders and also for Wall Street. And I highlighted that I'm invested in other companies. So like Tattooed Chef, for example, when they made the acquisition, within the next day, they filed an 8K. But of course, the SEC requires that you file an 8K within 4 working days or 4 business days, and says, why has that not been done? Because at the time I figured that was solely responsible for why we're seeing such bearish activity in the stock. Now Mike's reply to this was that there are certain criterias for an 8K to be filed regarding an acquisition, okay, which I already knew. But I felt like, look, if you want to build trust with shareholders, if you want to gain Wall Street's confidence, surely, you have to make exceptions, especially if you are a public company. But he pretty much said, look, there are certain criteria that need to be met. And he said, you've got to have a top-down approach and ask, do we need to file an 8K or not? And one of the questions they asked to determine an answer is this above 10% of the issuer's assets? Okay, and if it's below that threshold, so 10% of the issuer's assets, then the answer is no, they do not need to file an 8K. But if it is above 10%, then you must file. So he didn't confirm or deny the acquisitions of Apostrophe or Honest Health fit into this criteria. He didn't confirm that. He said the fact that they haven't filed an 8K should be telling, essentially. So then when I asked him about transaction details in the press releases, he says in his experience that if a company is looking to make future acquisitions, it's in the company's and shareholders' best interest to not disclose transaction details in PRs. Okay, so he said that was their approach at the time, and I guess that kind of makes sense. So then I pressed him again with regards to, look, are we going to get any information? And he pretty much said just wait for the quarterlies. Okay, so wait for Q2 where the 10K will be released, and also in the earnings call they might. He didn't confirm whether they will, but he said we might get a lot more details there. All right. right? So, and he also mentioned that right now they're in a quiet period. That's why we haven't really heard anything from them since the previous acquisition. And when we spoke about the stock price, he pretty much confirmed what has been going on. So if you're not aware, there's been a ton of insider selling. Okay, so Spencer Lee, you have Patrick Harrison, Carol, Melissa Bird, and you also have here Andrew Dudum, the CEO. They've all been selling. As you can see, it's been recent sales. So from mid-June, it's been constant selling up until the 22nd of July. These insiders have been selling. Now, if you're not aware, the reason why they're selling is pretty much lockup expiration. Now, I shared this with my Discord, so I cross-referenced our annual reports. So from January 20th, 2021, they had 180 days, okay, after January 20th for the lockup expiration to essentially expire. So all of the insider selling that we are seeing currently is pretty much insiders dumping their shares due to the lockup expiration. Now, we saw something similar with Palantir, and we're continuously seeing something similar with Palantir. So that's just what happens, okay? But, you know, one of the things one of my Discord members was talking about is, why is the CEO selling, you know, if you believe in the company long term? And I said, okay, let's look at it as it is, right? So he sold 196,000 shares here, and then he sold again recently 22,000 shares here, okay? So that tallied over 218,000 shares that he'd sold. But if you look at the recent insider ownership, see Andrew Dudum, he's still sitting on 17.6 million worth of shares of the company. So that's Class A, Class V, warrants, options, and etc. So his position is still large within the company, sitting at 9.22%. So yes, he has been selling, but in comparison to what he still holds on to, not a lot of selling, all right? Not a lot of selling considering the fact. However, that selling from insiders is, of course, adding additional selling pressure to the stock. And when retail investors on Wall Street are also seeing insiders selling as much as they are and as frequently as they are, then, of course, they are dumping their shares. However, on a positive side, institutions are getting involved. Okay, so if you look at the recent institutional buying and selling of HIMS and HERS, these are all the recent institutional buys. And if you look at it here, they've been net buyers. All right. So institutions have been net buyers so far in Q2, and their ownership has increased to 37%. As insiders are coming out, institutions are coming in. But again, make of it what you will. Now, what am I doing with my position in HIMS? The yellow line represents my average. Let me get rid of that so it doesn't cause any confusion. But my average is about $12, okay? So give or take $12. That's my average. So I'm down quite significantly in my position. Now, to be transparent, I have not added to my position. And the reason why I haven't added to my position, I'm waiting for Q2. I want to get more details about our acquisitions. What type of impact are we to expect with this acquisition going forward? If they will provide details of the acquisition in terms of how much we paid for it, I want to know this, because this information is important to me deciding whether I want to cut my losses in this stock or hold or buy more. So this is from Peter Lynch, Beat in the Street, and I've shared this before, but I'll share it again because I think it's important and emphasizes why I've decided not to buy anymore until I get more information. He says, if a company must acquire something, I'd prefer it to be a related business, but acquisitions in general make me nervous. There's a strong tendency for companies that are flush with cash and feeling powerful to overpay for acquisitions and expect too much from them and then mismanage them. I'd rather see a vigorous buyback of shares, which is the purest synergy of all. So until I get more information from the acquisition, which I believe we will get in Q2, I am sitting on my hands. Now, in case you're not aware of when Q2 will be, it's going to be on Wednesday, the 11th of August, and it's going to be after market close. Okay, so after market close, we're going to get all of the information we need. And at that point, I'll make a decision as to whether I average down, whether I sell out, or whether I hold. So I hope you guys appreciate this video. If you did, please make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay up to date with all of my latest video content. Remember, none of this is financial advice, but I'm just trying to give you as much information as possible for you to do your own due diligence and make up your own mind. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.